This video is about the Hebrew prophet Daniel. First, we will apply the journalistic hermeneutic to Daniel and ask the following questions. Who, what, when, where, and why? Who was Daniel? Daniel was a Jewish prince, but the Babylonians knew him as Belteshazzar. What did Daniel do? He was one of the Jewish exiles taken away captive to Babylon. The foreign kings made him chief of the governors, and he was the fourth of the four major prophets. When did all this happen? Daniel was born in 624 BC. He was carried into exile in 605 BC. He interpreted Nebuchadnezzar's dream in 603 BC. Daniel had his last vision in 536 BC, and he died in 530 BC at age 94. Where did all this take place? Everything started in Jerusalem. Events moved to the ancient Babylonian capital of Babylon, and the story ends in the Persian capital of Susa. Why? Because God wanted to encourage the Jewish exiles and to assert his sovereignty over the Jews and over all of world history. There are many interesting stories in the book of Daniel, and we'll look at them one by one. The first story is of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Daniel told the king what his dream was and what it meant. The four-part human image symbolized the four great world empires of the future: Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, which is world history in a nutshell. But the king then built an all-gold statue and ordered everybody to bow down and worship it. 3 of Daniel's friends refused and were thrown into a fiery furnace, but were miraculously rescued. This same king had a dream of a big tree being chopped down. In order to humble the king, God took away his sanity for 7 years. Next comes the handwriting on the wall that was correctly interpreted by Daniel as the fall of Babylon and the rise of the Persians. Several Persian princes conspired to have Daniel thrown into the lion's den, but this gave God the opportunity to miraculously save Daniel. Next, the book of Daniel records Daniel's vision of the 4 beasts, repeating the theme of the 4 great world empires. The book of Daniel also records many details about the Antichrist, including the fact that this evil, end-time dictator will come from a small, lawless country northwest of Israel that is part of the Roman Empire and also part of the Greek Empire. With this information in hand, we can now ask the question, is the Pope the Antichrist? Indeed, the Vatican is its own country, and the small nation is northwest of Israel. Popes like John XII and Sergius III and others were incredibly wicked and lawless men. And today's Vatican certainly was part of the Roman Empire. But was this region ever conquered by Alexander the Great? The 70 weeks of years was also recorded by Daniel and gives us the timing for the coming and the death of the Messiah. Next, the book of Daniel records many future historical events and events concerning the end times. Often, men are confronted with spiritual dilemmas. Fortunately, there are many lessons for Christian men contained in the book of Daniel, like excess versus temperance. Daniel was confronted with this conflict, and he made the right choice. In addition, there is always the epic question of human wisdom versus divine wisdom. This tension was resolved in a dramatic way, all because of a king's dream. Idolatry versus the first commandment. The dramatic resolution of this conflict occurred in a fiery way. King Nebuchadnezzar had pride when he should have had humility. It took God's judgment to open this proud king's eyes. Another great human challenge: hubris versus divine reverence. The Babylonians had an orgy using the sacred vessels from Solomon's temple, and that very night their empire was conquered. To get what we want, should we employ treachery or rely upon divine providence and sovereignty? Daniel in the lion's den gives us the timeless answer. And all of these spiritual conflicts were resolved to the glory of God.